So I created this movie, this video for one reason. I quite often do videos where I show you what I found, a thrift haul and a piece I found, and I start painting it, and then when I finish painting I leave it to dry, and that's the end of the video. The next day I go in and do detailing, waxing and all the little things that make it give that wow factor at the end, and then I'll display it, do a beautiful picture, and everyone's like, wow, that looks great, how did you do that? So I kind of realized that I need to sometimes do videos where I actually take the piece from where it was painted or partway painted, and then carry on recording and show you the finishing touches that I do to give it that wow factor at the end. So this video is to show you how I actually ended up creating these actual pictures, the displays, and how I got the detail of these birds and how I actually finished them, rather than just cutting it off and then going from halfway finished to then seeing an end product and wondering what happened in between. So I hope you enjoy my video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up, and also share, and also please subscribe to my channel, as there's much more to come, and I hope you enjoy. Please watch, carry on watching. Now ready to do the other side, doing the same thing using the Weatherwood Crackle. Just going to squeeze some out and going to put it on quite liberally, not too thick, not too thin, covering the whole area of the side. I'm going to try and get this side done all in one go, making sure I do the whole part and the face. You don't want it to dry on you, so just do a part at a time, but also you need it to not be too wet as well. You want it sticky, tacky. That's the best that you'll get out of it. So we are going to work with it, put some more out. I want good big crackles on this, not too big, not too small, nice crackles without it running, dripping. I just want it natural looking crackles. A little bit more for this side. Alright, I think we've covered the whole side, and as I say, I want it tacky but not drippy. And then we are going to get the paint. I want quite a good thick layer of paint on because I'm only doing one coat, but I don't want it to run. I want it to be covered but not run. Nice thick coverage, but as I say, you don't want it dripping everywhere. It will crack in the direction you're painting, so kind of have a think of what direction you want. I'm okay with the actual tail of it to go up and down, but the rest of it I want to go sideways. And I'm going to now use the blow dryer to let it crack. This will help quicken the process. It's already starting to, and this will help it crack. And I'll be back after the noise is over. Everything is dry, and now, oh, it's stuck to my table here. Just pull that off. I will do some touch-ups underneath, but before I do that, I'm going to do some wet distress. I have a cloth. It's an old towel, and I'm just going to use, it's got some warm water on it, and I'm just going to do some wet distress in some of the areas to give it more interest. Mostly on the beak area, so I'm just going to rub, and this just rubs away some of the top coat, which is the white. I don't want to do a lot of wet distress on this piece. I just want to do it in certain areas of the beak area. Along the top here, just to give it some definition. And same on the other side, on the other one. So just a little bit, maybe under here. And this beak too. This one's stuck too. I left them drying overnight, so they're going to stick a little bit. There they go. Just going to wipe back on the areas of the beak. Just to give the beak some, that you can tell it is, basically, that's what it is. Same on this side. And we're at that stage now where anything that I create, I find that I get an ugly stage, and this is the stage I'm at, and this is where some people that are not creative, don't have the vision, get worried. Sometimes they stop, they give up on the project, but this is the foundation of what it's going to look like, but it's certainly not the end result of what it's going to look like. On most things that you paint, you will get an ugly stage. And then soon after, when you do the finishing touches, you get that beautiful, pretty stage of what you wanted it to finish like. So don't be worried, don't give up, and just trust your vision of the end result, because right now it's not at that, but it will be. You just gotta trust your process of what you've learned in skills, and trust your vision of what you want it to look like. I'm also going to be finishing underneath, painting everything white, but I just want to distress to this bottom part because I do want it rustic on both of them. So I'm going to get rid of some of the white underneath. Been quite awkward shape to work with, but just wiping away quite a lot of the white under here. And then I'm going to be going back in areas where I want it to be more white, and that will be with a smaller artistic brush. So same here. Like I even forgot to do this side, so I actually have to put some white in that side. But on this other side, I'll be taking it away. And it just gives it a definition of this is the base that it's sitting on. It's not the actual bird itself. And then we are going to be doing the next step. So now I'm going to go back in with just a small little brush. This was the size I kind of wanted, maybe not quite the shape, but this is the exact size I wanted. I'm doing small detail, not minute detail, but smallish detail, because there's parts of it that didn't get any white on, and I'm just going back in and doing those parts and just building up where I want it to be more white and taking away where I want it to be less white. And when you're rushing or being as quick as you can to do the process of the crackle, you will miss a little just areas. So I'm just going back in and doing those areas. So if you can see here, I'm just going back in and just underneath here, just adding some white, and then I'm going to be painting under here in white too. So I want a little bit of a bigger brush for that. Grab this one here and get some paint on and just go underneath. This needs to be white. And these are just the finishing touches, getting rid of those pastel colours that I thought were beautiful on here, but the customer wanted a certain look colour for her home decor, so this is why we're doing it this colour. So just going around finding any areas that show a little bit too much of the pastel, just going in with different size brushes and just going over it. This one the same, I got to do underneath here where we did not do underneath earlier, and just going over with the white covering the underneath. Get rid of any of the pastel colour from before. Just checking everywhere, making sure. And I'm going to let that dry, and then we are going to seal it. I am using just a basic poly sealer, so I'm going to go ahead and seal this after it's dry, and then we will get on to the waxing. So next I'm going to be putting the clear coat on. I'm just using a matte clear coat. I'm going to put it all over the pieces and just let that dry for approximately 4 hours to dry. I like to dry them overnight, but on this particular one I want to get on to the next stage, so I'm going to leave it 4 hours, so later this afternoon I'll be doing the next step. But this step is just literally going over everything to seal it all in nicely and get it nicely sealed, so when it goes to the customer they can clean and they can wipe and dust this all they wish, because there'll be a good sealer coat on it. Now there will be some wax on this, so they'll have to be careful with that, but the wax is more of a decorative with the little accents on it. It'll be more of giving depth and showing the detail of the piece, rather than the wax being just the coat for protection. So the protection coat I'm using first is the clear poly to give it a good solid foundation. So I'm just going to carry on putting this all over both pieces and then leave them, as I say, to dry for 4 hours. Good girl, Bella. Please. Good girl. Hey, what you do? What you do, girl? You getting cuddles? You getting cuddles? Yeah. So next we are going to do the waxing. It's going to take a little time. I will show you some of it. Obviously you would get bored if you watch me do the whole thing. I use black wax, and I also use dark antique wax. Quite often when I do pieces of furniture I do a lot of the antique and a little bit of the black. On these I want to do it the opposite. I'll be doing more black and a little of the antique, because I want it more black and white rather than lots of brown. The brown gives it an aged vintage look. The black gives definition and shadowing to any detail. I always do the black first, and when I do the black, I use an old little brush. You can get them from the dollar store, but the black I use slightly smaller brush than the brown, just a little bit smaller. If you're unsure and you're new to it, use a smaller brush and work your way up to bigger brushes, especially if you're doing little detail like in here. So I'm just going to, with the black, go into any crevices, any detail I want to show. Find lines of the bird and just put in shadowing of those lines. So if you find there's a line here, go in behind it and shadow it with the black. And under here there would be a little shadowing, and here a little. We have some lines where the feathers, triangle lines here where the feathers finish. So I'm just going to go in with the black and highlight those lines. And also with this piece, it's got quite pattern on it too. If you can see on especially the tail, it has a pattern, just not feather-like pattern, but more of a almost artist way of kind of doing feathers. So I'm just going to go in, as I say, all the crevices, all the lines with the black. Taking my time, go into the crevices. If you put too much, you can use a cloth to pull it back, and too little, obviously just add in some more. All I'm doing is giving definition to all the lines and patterns on the bird, and any outside parts too. On the ends here, I'm just going to work my way down and feather it out after. When you're dipping into the wax, you're going to have quite a bit. You can pull some off, but you're going to have the most amount on your brush at the first time that you've dipped in. So go to a part where you know you're going to put quite a bit of wax, and then work your way as your brush gets less and less wax in it to areas that you don't need as much. And just, as I say, I'm going to just go over the areas with the pattern, and just going to pull that back and just do that again. Go in areas of the pattern. Yeah, anyway, you're not happy, just pull it back again with the cloth. If you're really unsure on doing this and you're new to it, put some clear wax down first, as if you have clear wax under the black or the antique, you've got more play with the wax to be able to pull away parts you don't like or add. You've got more freedom of moving it around. As you get used to it, you'll put less of the clear and you'll just play with what you have. I want to do quite a bit of wax on the bottom, the pedestal, the little, I don't know, it doesn't have feet, but I just want to give some character to the base. And I'm just going to turn it around so you can see where I'm going with the front here, and also be able to see myself. But you have under here, you've got these lines, so we want a shadow in here and along the edges and up here. And obviously, because it overhangs, there would be a natural shadowing under here. So you want to do that natural shadowing with a little bit under the beak and definitely some along here. Now, you don't need to pile it on because you know you're going to be putting more into it with doing the antique wax afterwards. This is just definition of lines. That's all we're doing, is definition of lines. So finding the line, the natural line of the pattern that was created underneath, and just adding some shadowing and line enhancement by putting dark into the crevices. Take your time with it, enjoy it. This is, I've always said, and anyone that's watched me a few times know this is one of my favourite things to do. I find it's almost like painting, but with wax. Turn it around so you can see where I'm going. I'm still just going in the lines. This video I'm doing here, it's a follow-up of, I did a video of starting out doing the crackle effect, but I figured a lot of times I'll show someone how I do things, and then I go off and I finish it on my own and then stage it, and a lot of people, which is so beautiful, so nice, are kind of wow. But then they're probably wondering, well, how did she get to that wow part? What did she use? And I find a lot of it that brings out the wow of any piece I do is usually the detail. And that's what I'm doing right now, is just adding the detail. So this video is mostly just showing you how I create that wow factor detail on these pieces, because I don't always get a chance to show you the whole experience of how I bring a piece from one look to another. So that's what I'm doing here. So I'm going to continue in all these crevices, putting some shadowing in and going around. And then we'll be doing the dark wax after. So this is the final stage, and now I'm doing the staging, the displaying and taking pictures, and this is what I do last. They're finished, they're ready. So these are pretty dramatic, rustic pieces that I've done. The duck was already crackled, so I figured I'd go and do the crackle and the vintage look with the pieces. Therefore, these pieces needed to have that kind of background. So I've brought together a lot of things that are rustic. There's a piece of bark, there's a piece of wood. The chair is brown rather than a colour, because if you put a colour here, it would fight against what we're doing. The bucket there is quite a rustic bucket. This is kind of the look I'm looking for, but right now it's still not perfect for me. So I'm going to kind of play around a little more. And what I'm thinking is changing these items and then step back and look. So I kind of always do that. I play around with different ideas of where I want things, and then I kind of just keep going, adding, deleting what I think where things should go. And that's looking a little better, but I need to step back. I need to, yeah, the duck definitely needs to be looking that way, and I'm liking that. And the one thing with the bucket, it's hard to see, so I'm going to raise it a little bit, which means I want to put something underneath it that won't be seen, but I also need to make sure it's something that is a good colour. So this rustic book to put under this bucket, just to raise it up just a little bit for height. You never want anything to be the same height. And I'm going to turn it a little, and I think I need one more thing. So I'm going to bring in some drama, and this is drama. Putting it into the bucket, and obviously bringing it around and having it in place. Now I have to really look back, because I don't want to lose birds, but I want to bring them out. So now I know it's too heavy on one with the green. It's too heavy. I love it, but it's too heavy. So what I need to do is bring some of this greenery behind. So I'm going to push it back and force it behind the bird. So then it's showing a little, but not too much. And I think that is more what I need. The picture I'm trying to get will be a horizontal, this. I don't want to get this, obviously the plug. I don't need the things in the background. So then I look and I find the right angles. I get my camera together, which I use just my phone, and I just snap away, taking quite a lot, different angles, which is not easy to do because I've got you guys right where I like to be. I go in, I go out. And I just snap away as many photos as I can. I usually take way more than I need. And then I will go into my photos and I will start and then look for my favorite ones. So I will get rid of any I don't like, or get rid of any that there's two the same. So that one's the same as the last one. I don't need two of them. That one's too cluttered. I don't want that one. That one's more symmetrical. Obviously I will be cropping it, taking out the plug. That one's, oops, that one's not going to work at all. It cut the duck out. That one is not enough of this bird, too much this side, and so on, so forth, until you find the perfect one. And just keep going, and then when I find the perfect one, I edit it a little bit, and then I put it on all my social media and hope that someone will say, wow, I like what you're doing, I want to see what else you do, and then they start to follow. So hopefully you will do the same thing, and you will enjoy that I've created these. I painted them, I took the time, I'm showing you how I do the staging, the behind the scenes of things. And if you like this video, please put the thumbs up and like my video, and please follow, subscribe to learn more, be inspired. I have many more things to come, and hope you enjoyed. And please subscribe to my videos and put in the comments if you think it's a thumbs up. I'm Julie from Julie's Everything Treasures, and thanks for watching.